Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Next Super Stock, a live stream. We are back with ESE Entertainment, ENTEF, Conrad Vasella. Conrad, welcome back.
Finally, I'm back. I'm back in business here.
It's been quite a while. It's been a few months. You've been in a quiet period because of the big capital raise, which is finally closed. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about how you're going to be deploying this growth capital. But for anybody that's going to be watching this later, I got to do a quick intro. You know what this live stream is all about is bringing 10x to 100x upside potential. Companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar opportunities, multiple catalysts in place to create value, and at a key inflection point. And ESE Entertainment, perfect example. Conrad, I think when you debuted on our platform, the stock was what, 30 cents? I don't know, 30 cents, whatever it was. In I think December, hit a high of recently $4. Now it's been, obviously stocks have pulled back since February, so it's been on sale. Right now it's, this is the summer sale going on. We're at $1.25 right now somewhere. So people have another opportunity, another bite at the apple to get in right here. It looks like there's a nice base. And so today we're going to talk about, what's going to take this stock to a 10x from where it is now or beyond. So
just thanks for having me back on. It's like I felt like I was a caged lion just waiting to be let loose. And I could assure you guys, we were absolutely grinding during that silent period. And we have a major backlog of news that'll slowly be coming out. We just did a corporate update news release yesterday. We'll talk about that a little bit today. But, to Jack's point, I think it'd be nice to just give a quick overview to some of the new listeners of, first of all, how big this opportunity is, how big the industry is.
Esports opportunity.
Esports and gaming opportunity. And then we could jump into how we're going to capitalize on that. Because as Jack said, it's a little bit of a weird market, but the best companies come from tough times. And we're putting in the work and we're going to fly out of this.
I should add, this is not any kind of opinion or anything, but usually the best opportunities for investors are usually like in these periods when at the bottom of a bear market, everybody throws in the towel, and especially the summer. The summer is like especially, I don't know, it's a Canadian listed company, so Canada is like amplifies that. So stocks have been like in the micro caps. I think they've pretty much bottomed here, but it's been a bear market for like 5 months already. And here we are. This could be a good entry. So, sorry, I interrupted you. Go back.
Yeah.
Continue.
I agree. And you could believe that we're putting in the work. Our business has never been healthier. But as I mentioned, let's just go over some statistics. Newzoo came out with a report. The gaming market is $175 billion this year. Okay. If we look at some of the recent deals in the industry, it's unbelievable. ByteDance just bought Mobile Legends for $4 billion. Huawei just did a media rights deal for $310 million, a 5-year media rights deal. Groups like Bitcraft, who are venture investors in esports and gaming, they just had an oversubscribed round of $165 million. What I'm getting at is, the 100 million type deals are now commonplace in the sector, and we're heading towards multi-billion-dollar deals in the industry. So it just gives you a snapshot of really how big this is and how big the opportunity is. I said it on the show before, this is a generational opportunity. And, you have to get involved now. Everyone's in this sector. Everyone's flying to this sector.
Conrad, I think you forgot to mention the biggest one, which is the big elephant, which is Netflix. You're talking about generational opportunity. Right now what's happening is, and the Netflix announcement, like it completely
huge,
is essentially that. Look, it used to be that watch TV, movies, etc. That was their form of entertainment. Now the new generation, millennials. I mean, everybody's just doing video games. The video games is the new, what video games are today is what's, let's say, social media was before, or video, whatever, TV, whatever it was before. And Netflix, which is, they made, billions with streaming movies and shows and all that. They're getting into esports, essentially, video game, the video games on demand. So I think what that's going to do is, over the next couple of years, this is just going to add a massive tailwind to what you're doing, which is, really the esports space and everything there. So I think it's good to, what exactly, let's talk about the different components, because essentially you're kind of, what are you doing in the esports space? Because you're involved in a couple of different aspects, different facets. Give us kind of the whole picture there.
Exactly. So we really pride ourselves as being the 360 solution in esports and the back end infrastructure for all these big groups. So like you mentioned, if Netflix wanted to roll out a tournament, for example, in New York, and they would go out and hire us, and we could execute on that tournament, A to Z, live, online, the social media aspect, the marketing, the whole gamut. So the picks and shovels, we could literally do everything from A to Z. And that's where I see the opportunity, because you mentioned it. When that huge tailwind comes from all these big groups coming in, they're going to look at groups like us to execute on the esports side and provide support. So to kind of break it down a little bit, so we have core pillars, the media rights and production side of the business, which has huge upside. I mentioned that $310 million deal that just got signed. You have the technology aspect, where we can host online tournaments at scale. And we also have this great technology in the digital motorsport side, where we could do 3D track scanning and implement tracks into games. We have our own professional esports team called Kick. And then the last component is just the overall back-end support. So when you have support via Discord, fan retention, fan support, we have that whole aspect covered.
Okay, so the latest thing you mentioned is the digital motorsports. That's a deal you're closing. When? I mean, this is what that's going to be closing next couple of weeks, because this was announced last 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, I can't give an exact date, but we're coming to the end of it here. So
okay,
just keep following the story. The news is coming.
Yeah, I think what investors need to realize is, like, anytime an LOI 12 months for a deal to close. It's not like it happens that Tuesday. It's usually
no, exactly. Yeah. And if you look, you can look at our other transactions. It's a very similar path and trajectory. But what's the most important part? We closed our last 2 deals, and we're going to continue to close. We're going to continue to execute. So we've been putting in the work, and we anticipate to close that very soon.
Okay, so in digital motorsports, what is again, just a quick recap of what they're doing exactly?
Yeah, it puts a smile on my face, because we see it as an absolute massive growth potential. I had a call with a very high-profile executive in the sector. They said digital motorsports is the biggest growth they've seen in their group in the past 20 years. So it gives you some context. What digital motorsports does is it adds to our existing digital motorsports business. So they run online tournaments as well, but in different regions. So now we could consolidate more of Europe. So they're mostly in Ireland and England. So we could really scale that side of the business. And they actually sell and manufacture their own simulators, which gives us another opportunity to scale our e-commerce sales, to implement new technologies into those simulators, to work even closer with game publishers. When they release games, we could implement those games and sell those games to our users. So what it really does is just strengthen our already existing digital motorsports business and allow us to accelerate. I would love to actually have the CEO of digital motorsports on the show. I mean, this guy is absolutely fired up. I mean, you guys got to listen to this guy.
The motorsports thing, is that, I don't think, is it a bigger deal like in Europe and Asia than in the US? I don't think people really know too much about like Formula One, and that's not like a big thing in the US, right?
Well, I'll give you a little snapshot. So there's a company that's listed on the NASDAQ called Motorsport Games. As a standalone business, currently they're at about 250 million market cap US. But, a few months ago, they were a $35 stock. So that's a standalone, and we're building that internally as one of our verticals. So it gives you some context of how big that single vertical can be. And you're right. I mean, on a global scale, F1, et cetera, is a lot larger. But don't forget about NASCAR, Indy, all these other great
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
motorsports
yeah,
groups
yeah.
in North America. And you better believe we're going to be going after those groups too.
Okay. No, very interesting. Yeah, it's funny. The other day, I saw a video of some guy. I guess I don't follow I don't really follow, but it was I think this guy Nico Rosberg. He was a race car driver. He was apparently a big Formula One guy, and he was interviewing some business, and it was like very interesting. He was like driving a McLaren, like another Formula One guy that was pretty crazy. And he's got like a couple million followers, I think, on the YouTube. So more than our channel. I mean, I don't, but no, it's a big deal that stuff in Europe. Let's kind of talk about the latest news, which we haven't addressed it. You just closed an $8 million round, so I think there was demand for a lot more, and you kind of, I think was there like demand for like 20 million plus when you closed at 8?
Yeah, it was heavily oversubscribed right out the gate, which means there's so much interest that we had to scale it back. The main reason I scaled it back is because if you've been watching my interviews, I want to keep the structure tight.
I'm glad you scaled it back. Yeah, you don't want to give away shares at these levels here.
Exactly, and I know where we're going. I know how big this is. So when you see me doing things like that, scaling back financings, keeping it tight, there's a reason for that, because I believe in this company. We know where we're going, so why would we dilute even more when we don't need the capital? We're very efficient with capital. It's been proven through our acquisitions in the past. We're going to continue to do that. We're not going to spend just because we have money. We're going to build the building blocks to get to the billion plus market cap that I keep talking about. And we're not going to stop till we get there.
Okay, but essentially, so your approach, it's kind of it's a two-track approach. One is the organic growth, but really M&A is really what's going to get you to that number quickly. And I think we talked about, you have last time you were on, I think you mentioned you had the M&A pipeline is about 100 million in revenues in that pipeline. I'm assuming you're going to be deploying part of this growth capital, this 8 million plus, towards making some acquisitions. So give us an update. What's happening there?
Let's put it this way. The pipeline's growing, and it's literally growing month over month. People are now approaching us because we're just executing on what we're saying we're going to do. So that pipeline of 100 plus million continues to grow. We're getting closer and closer to, agreements with some of those groups. I'm actually flying over to Europe in a few weeks to go and do some due diligence on some of those groups. But the most important part, you mentioned the kind of a two-layered approach. So our internal business has a great foundation and it's growing, but now we could really bolt on those synergistic groups and just add on that revenue and add on that growth, similarly to how we did with digital motorsports. So it's a robust pipeline. We're not slowing down, guys. I am not taking the summer off. Let's put it that way. It's go time right now. We're not taking the summer off. We're grinding. Our guys are in the office. We're rolling out a production in August. So when people are going vacation, we're rolling out production. So that's the mindset here. We're not slowing down.
Kind of right. I think you're the only person in Canada who's not taking the summer off, because right now our audience is half of what it normally is. With the everybody's at the lake or whatever they're doing. They should be busy trading stocks. I don't get it, but whatever.
If you want to accomplish something great, you don't take summers off. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. I agree. So this is why we're here, and everybody who's watching is here right now. Listen, I think the best opportunities really happen in the summer, because again, when everybody's away, this is when you have these. This is when, like right now, I see a lot of stocks kind of bottoming out here, and a lot of people are going to kind of miss it, and then they come back in September, and something is already tripled by then. So, which ironically, the ESE chart looks pretty good based on that. So let's, I want to bring something up, which I don't know if we talked about it before, but I was talking to a pretty sophisticated investor who, he's active in the microcap space in a very big way. And he actually was very impressed because I think he was following the news. He was very impressed with the new director you brought on. This guy, was it Rick Brace? So can you talk a little bit about like who he is, because he may not be as well known in the U.S., but who is he? What is he? What kind of what is he bringing to the table? Like what's the whole story there?
Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend for everyone to Google who Rick is. What he's done in the past, it's absolutely unprecedented. So he was the former president of Rogers Media. He also helped build TSN, so the equivalent of ESPN in Canada. He signed some of the biggest media right deals around the world, with groups like the NHL, the Olympics, MLS soccer, NBA, etc., all the major sports leagues. He's been in those meetings, he's signed those deals, he's done that. So he's executed on what we want to execute on the esports and gaming side. So there's no better mentor to have than Rick. One very exciting part about his personality is he's very hands-on, and he's always available to me. He's been very important and integral in the strategy part. So we've been doing significant strategy calls internally, and he's been leading the charge. And it's just exciting. I mean, to have a guy like that to lean on, who's built, Rogers, that's a $33 billion company. I mean, what else could you ask for, right?
No, I mean, it's impressive for a guy of that caliber to join essentially, microcap company. I mean, speaking of which, how many shares are out after the capital raise? What are you going to have outstanding?
So right now it's about 57 million roughly shares outstanding. So still very tight structure.
So about our market 60. What are we at? 60 million market cap, roughly 70 million market cap, under 70 million.
Roughly, 60 to 65 market cap based on yesterday's close. But the reality is, guys, let's get some comparables here. We want to compare to the best. You look at groups like EGLX, 800 million market cap. They were over $1 billion market cap a few months ago, trading at $10+. You look at groups like Keyword Studios out of London, 3 billion market cap. You look at MTG Group, 1.7 billion market cap, roughly. I mean, that's what we're going for here. We want to go billion plus. We want to compete with the big boys. We want to be the next billion plus esports company. That's the goal here.
EGLX, it's interesting you bring up, because I mean, essentially EGLX is where they were maybe a year or two ago, was really not any different than than ESE today. It was a microcap stock. They did a couple of, basically doing roll-ups of, I think mostly online media assets. I don't know, it was like YouTube channels or whatever related to esports or what have you. So, I mean, really very, very similar. I mean, so I think if they could do it, I mean, if EGLX can do it, I don't see any reason why, ESE can't do the same thing. I mean, it's so in terms of where do you see you have a bunch of these deals at pipeline. I guess were you waiting to do this raise to close before you announced some more acquisitions?
Exactly. I mean, with the raise, as you alluded to earlier in the interview, there's a silent period. You're not allowed to tell the market, what you have in the pipeline. And now that we've closed, I could kind of get into it. And I think the best thing is just to stay close to the story and really keep a close eye, because, that capital was raised to deploy for our acquisition pipeline, right? So that was the core.
where is that going to take you? Where can that 8 million take? I mean, can you pick up, I don't know, 50 million in revenues from that? Like how far can that take you?
Well, let's just use facts. So previous to this raise, we raised roughly 5.9 million, and our next 12-month run rate, we anticipate to be around 20 million. So, you guys are smart people watching the show. What are we going to do that 8.6? I think a lot more.
Okay, so is it possible that you could exit, let's say, obviously you have a big pipeline of acquisitions, but can you exit this year with, let's say, 50 million run rate, do you think?
I mean, the goal is always 100 plus million. And if we could get halfway there, that would be a great achievement for us.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, the internet cut out. What was it? The goal was, how much was the goal?
Yeah, the ultimate goal is to get 100 plus million. But if we could get halfway there, I mean, that's a great accomplishment. And those are goals that we've set internally, and we're going to really push for that.
Okay, I think you're right, because it's no, that would be very impressive. I mean, even if you can get to, look, I mean, the market essentially, I think the market rewards not even so much the number; it's really the velocity of how quickly, the momentum, how fast you can get there. So if you can even get to like a 40 million run rate, you could get a billion valuation, because it's not a 10x; it could be a 25x, and of course you're gonna have to keep up the pace to keep that. But you can have these massive spikes. I mean, look, we've seen the stock run from 30 cents to $4, right? So I mean, it just kind of shows I think, which is impressive, because it kind of shows the potential that there is significant interest, especially on the sidelines, looking at the stock. And I think once things start happening, I mean, not only can the business explode, but there's obviously upside, in the stock, because this thing really moves like, the stock moves like lightning, essentially. So you have the 8 million. There's also warrants, right? So that could bring in how much? What's the warrants at what price?
It's at $1.95.
$1. How many warrants out there?
It's a half warrant.
So that would be 4 million or something like that.
Yeah, so we'll bring even more capital to the table. But what it does for us, it doesn't. It creates even more freedom for us not to go back to market to raise more capital. So as long as we continue to execute, I don't anticipate us needing any capital for the remainder of the year, unless an opportunity came up that we just could not turn down.
Okay. Yeah, so this is okay. Let's get to some audience questions. Okay, so we have a lot of fans here. We got this guy saying, okay, question. Revenue on WPG suggests WPG is flat versus growing. Is that the case? Trying to figure out if there's actual growth versus just M&A.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. And I kind of mentioned this earlier. So we've just started over the past month or two the full integration process of groups like WPG into our ecosystem. So that's when you'll see growth starting to accelerate a little bit more, because we could work with each other and start building.
There's a lot of massive synergies between all the components that you're bringing to the table. So okay, question we're all saying, what is ESE? Is there a short squeeze? Saying there's probably a lot of shorting going into the raise, right? Because I mean, this from $3 is probably something going on.
Yeah, it seemed like that was the case going into the raise. Let's get the buying going and make them pay.
Sure, we've seen this happen with GameStop. Why not? There's another video game play. Actually, a more pure play, right? This is the esport, more pure play. This is the next thing. Okay, so let's say, okay, so the pipeline for ESE. So the big takeaway is now you've raised this capital. You got the 8 million. That should be able to get you some more deals closed in the next probably couple of months. You have the digital motorsports that's already closing any moment now. Between now and whatever. You have What else is going on? So what's the takeaway is right now, what's the, in your opinion, Conrad, what would you say are the top 3 reasons why investors, should consider ESE today?
It's blatantly obvious. This is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, a generational opportunity for people to get in a booming industry. And 2, you're investing in a group that's delivering time and time again. We're executing and delivering. And we're working during the summer. Who do you want to invest in? What type of company do you want to invest in? A guy who's grinding over the summer or a guy who's vacationing? So, I mean, I just want to leave you guys with that takeaway. I think the greatest opportunities are in markets like this, and you pick your winners now because it's going to be too late down the road.
Okay, so let's talk about what's happening in terms of news flow. What can we expect to see in the next 60 to 90 days? September here, because you've been quiet, so there's it's like a volcano. The volcano is about to explode, perhaps.
Let's put it this way. I think the best thing is to get me on the show more often, because there's going to be a lot of news. There's a backlog. Just keep your eyes and ears peeled. Follow the story, guys. Get back engaged with the story, because the news is there and it's coming, and it's going to be consistent.
Okay, excellent. Conrad, on that note, I want to thank you, and we hope to have you on back very soon. Not 3 months like last time, or whatever.
Exactly.
However long the race was, Okay, thank you again.
Thanks, man.
Oh, Conrad, hello, Conrad. I think I cut you off too early.
No.
Okay.
No, I was just saying thanks to everyone, and keep an eye on the story, guys. Thank you.
Thank you again.